Children of the Bloom, eco-fantasy/mythic sci-fi. Set in a post-collapse Earth where nature has reclaimed the ruins of civilization, and sentient flora known as the Bloom have begun to awaken. The Bloom is a vast, sentient network of flora that stores memory, emotion, and ancestral knowledge in its roots and blossoms. It follows the story of Lyra, a quiet, intuitive girl raised in the Bloom's sanctuary, able to hear the thoughts of plants and trees, and Talon, a skeptical, fiercely intelligent boy from the last human settlement, sent to investigate the Bloom's expansion. This is a Moon Dragon original production. All rights are reserved. Lyra woke to the sound of flowers speaking. Not in words, in scent, in vibration, in memory. The Bloom had grown overnight, tendrils of light curling through the ruins of the old city, blossoms opening like eyes. She stepped barefoot through the moss, her fingers brushing petals that pulsed with warmth. "You are the echo," the Bloom whispered. "You are the seed." She didn't know what it meant, only that the Bloom had begun to dream, and she was inside it. Far away, in the last human settlement, Talon adjusted his gear. The elders had sent him to investigate the Bloom's spread. He didn't believe in plant gods or whispering petals. He believed in facts. But the moment he stepped into the forest, something changed. The trees turned toward him. And somewhere deep in the grove, Lyra felt it. "He is coming," the Bloom said, "and you must choose." Talon stepped over a root that pulsed faintly beneath his boots. It wasn't just a tree, it was part of the Bloom. The forest was alive in ways he didn't trust. Too quiet, too aware. His gear buzzed with interference. The scanner blinked erratically, unable to read the terrain. "Great," he muttered. "Tech's useless, just me and the plants." He pushed deeper into the grove, where the air grew thick with scent, jasmine, moss, something older. The light filtered through petals the size of his head, casting golden shadows on the forest floor. Then he saw her. She stood barefoot in a clearing, surrounded by blossoms that leaned toward her like worshippers. Her hair was auburn, wild, and her eyes were the color of deep soil. She didn't flinch when she saw him. She simply tilted her head. "You're loud," she said. Talon blinked. "Excuse me." She stepped closer. "Your thoughts, they rattle." He frowned. "You can hear my thoughts." "No," she said, "but the Bloom can." Talon looked around. The flowers were swaying, pulsing, watching. "I'm Talon," he said, "from the settlement." "I know," she replied. "The Bloom told me." He hesitated. "And you are?" "Lyra." She turned and walked deeper into the grove. Talon followed, unsure why. The forest opened into a vast glade, where the trees formed a circle and the ground was carpeted in glowing petals. Lyra knelt and touched one. It lit up, revealing an image, two children, laughing beneath a waterfall. Talon stared. "That's me." Lyra nodded. "The Bloom remembers." He stepped back. "That's impossible. I've never been here." Lyra looked at him. Not in body, but maybe in dream. The petals pulsed. The trees whispered. Together they bloom. Alone they wither. Talon turned to Lyra. "What does that mean?" She met his gaze. "It means you're part of this now." Talon couldn't sleep. Lyra had led him to a moss-covered shelter woven from vines and petals, warm and fragrant. But the forest pulsed beneath him, and his dreams were filled with images he didn't understand. Waterfalls, laughter, petals falling like snow. He woke before dawn and wandered outside. The grove was quiet, bathed in soft blue light. Flowers turned toward him as he passed, their petals trembling faintly. Lyra was already awake, kneeling beside a massive tree whose roots spread like veins across the clearing. "This is the heartroot," she said. "The Bloom's memory lives here." Talon crouched beside her. "Memory, like data." Lyra shook her head. "Not data, feeling, story, truth." She placed her hand on the bark. The tree pulsed and a ripple spread through the ground. Talon felt it in his chest, a warmth, a sadness, a longing. Suddenly, the earth beneath them shimmered. A vision bloomed in the air, a woman standing in the ruins of a city, planting a single seed. Her eyes were tired, but her hands were steady. "That's the first gardener," Lyra whispered. "She began the bloom." Talon stared. "This happened centuries ago." Lyra nodded. "The bloom remembers everything." He touched the bark. Another ripple. This time the vision was of a boy, him, standing beside a waterfall, laughing. But the girl beside him was Lyra. She was younger, with golden eyes and petals in her hair. Talon pulled back. "I don't remember this." Lyra looked at him. "But the bloom does." The tree pulsed again. A new vision began to form, but it flickered, unstable. The petals around them trembled. Lyra frowned. "Something's wrong." Talon stood. "What is it?" She turned to him, her voice low. "A memory is missing, something the bloom can't find." The forest darkened slightly. The petals folded inward. "Find the lost root," the bloom whispered, "or we will forget." Talon looked at Lyra. "What happens if it forgets?" She met his gaze. "Then everything ends." The forest had changed. As Lyra and Talon walked beneath the canopy, the trees leaned closer, their branches forming arches overhead. The petals on the ground shimmered with soft light, but some had begun to darken, curling inward like clenched fists. "The bloom is afraid," Lyra said. Talon glanced at her. "Afraid of what?" She knelt beside a cluster of blackened petals. They pulsed faintly, then opened. A whisper escaped. "The root was severed, the memory lost. The wound remains." Talon crouched beside her. "That's creepy." Lyra touched another petal. It whispered again. "The child who forgot, the seed that never grew." Talon frowned. "It's speaking in riddles." Lyra nodded. "The bloom doesn't know how to explain pain. It only echoes it." They continued deeper into the forest, following the whispers. The terrain grew stranger, trees with bark like glass, vines that hummed with sound, flowers that bloomed in response to emotion. Talon paused beside a vine that pulsed when he touched it. A vision flickered, a boy running through a field, chased by laughter. His own laughter. "I was here," he said quietly. Lyra turned to him. "You've always been part of the bloom, you just didn't know." They reached a clearing where the ground was bare. No petals, no moss, just cracked earth. At the center stood a single flower, wilted and gray. Lyra knelt beside it. "This is the lost root." Talon stepped closer. "Can we fix it?" Lyra touched the stem. The flower pulsed once, then whispered. "To heal the root, you must remember what was buried." Talon looked at her. "Then we dig." Lyra nodded, but not with hands, with heart. The forest darkened. The petals trembled. And somewhere deep in the bloom, a memory stirred. The path to the memory grove was unlike any Talon had walked. It wound through tunnels of flowering vines that whispered as they passed, their petals brushing his skin like soft breath. Lyra moved ahead with quiet certainty, her bare feet leaving faint impressions in the moss. "The grove is sacred," she said. "It holds the memories of everything the bloom has ever touched." Talon glanced around. "And we're just allowed in." Lyra smiled. "It invited you." The tunnel opened into a vast glade bathed in golden light. Thousands of blossoms floated in the air, suspended like stars. Each one pulsed with a soft glow, and as Talon stepped closer, he saw images flickering inside them. Moments, faces, places long gone. Lyra reached out and touched a petal. It bloomed instantly, revealing a memory, a woman singing to a child beneath a canopy of leaves. The child giggled, reaching for the light. "That's my mother," Lyra whispered, "before she became part of the bloom." Talon stared. "She merged with it." Lyra nodded. "She gave herself to preserve the grove." Talon stepped forward and touched a blossom. It pulsed, then opened. He saw himself, barely 5 years old, standing beside a girl with golden eyes. They were laughing, chasing fireflies. The girl turned to him and whispered something he couldn't hear. Lyra watched. "You've been here before." Talon shook his head. "I don't remember." Lyra touched his arm. "The bloom does." Suddenly, the grove trembled. A gust of wind swept through the glade, and several petals turned black, curling inward. Lyra gasped. The poison is spreading. Talon looked around. What's causing it? A voice echoed from the trees. The forgotten wound, the severed seed, the memory buried in silence. Lyra turned to Talon. We have to find it, before the grove forgets. Talon nodded. Then let's dig deep. The petals shimmered. The grove held its breath. And somewhere beneath the roots, the lost memory stirred. The entrance to the bloom's oldest lair was hidden beneath a ring of stone trees, trunks petrified by time, their branches reaching skyward like frozen prayers. Lyra placed her hand on the central trunk, and the ground beneath them began to hum. Talon stepped back as the moss parted, revealing a spiral staircase carved from root and crystal. It descended into darkness, pulsing faintly with bioluminescent veins. This is the deep bloom, Lyra said, where the first memories sleep. Talon hesitated, and we're just going to walk into it. Lyra turned to him. We're not walking, we're remembering. They descended together, the air growing cooler, thicker with scent, earth, rain, something ancient. The walls shimmered with embedded petals, each one flickering with fragments of memory. As they reached the bottom, the chamber opened into a vast cavern. At its center stood a massive blossom, closed tight, its petals dark and veined with gold. Lyra approached it slowly. This is the root that was severed. Talon stepped beside her. Why is it closed? Lyra touched the stem. The blossom pulsed once, then whispered. The memory was buried, the pain too deep. Only truth can open me. Suddenly, the chamber shifted. The petals around them began to bloom, revealing visions, scenes of war, fire, and sorrow. Cities burning, forests falling, children crying. Talon staggered. What is this? Lyra's voice was quiet. The bloom remembers everything, even what we tried to forget. One petal opened to reveal a boy, Talon, standing beside a woman with golden eyes. She handed him a seed, then vanished into the forest. Talon gasped. That's my mother. Lyra turned to him. She was part of the bloom. The central blossom pulsed again. Speak the truth. Heal the wound. Talon stepped forward. I was taught to fear the bloom, to fight it, but it's part of me, and I'm part of it. The blossom trembled. A crack appeared. Lyra joined him. And I was taught to protect it, but protection without understanding is just another kind of silence. The blossom opened. Inside, a single memory bloomed, bright, golden, whole. A child with petals in her hair, whispering to the wind. The wind shifted. Lyra felt it before she saw it, a dry current slicing through the humid breath of the forest. The petals around her curled inward, trembling. The bloom was afraid. Talon emerged from the deep bloom, his face pale. There's movement near the perimeter. Settlement scouts, armed. Lyra's heart sank. They're coming to burn it. Talon nodded. They think the bloom is spreading too fast, that it's dangerous. Lyra touched a nearby vine. It pulsed, sending a signal through the roots. The fire returns. The wound reopens. Talon paced. They don't understand. They think it's a virus. They don't see the memories, the healing. Lyra looked at him. Then show them. He hesitated. They won't listen to me. I'm just a scout. Lyra stepped closer. You're more than that now. Suddenly, a burst of flame lit the sky beyond the trees. Smoke curled upward. The petals around them shrieked, not in sound but in vibration. The bloom was in pain. Talon clenched his fists. We have to stop them. Lyra nodded, but not with violence, with truth. They ran toward the edge of the forest, where the first flames licked at the moss. Settlement soldiers stood with torches, their faces masked, their eyes wary. Talon stepped forward. Stop, you don't know what you're destroying. One soldier raised a torch. It's spreading, we have orders. Lyra stepped beside Talon. Then let us show you what it holds. She reached down and touched the earth. A wave of light spread outward, revealing a memory bloom, images of children laughing, elders planting seeds, families healing beneath the trees. The soldiers froze. One lowered his torch. What is this? Talon spoke. It's not a threat, it's a mirror. It remembers us, all of us. The flames flickered, the torches dimmed, and the bloom pulsed once, soft, steady, alive. The flames had died down, but the tension remained. Lyra and Talon stood at the edge of the grove, facing the settlement scouts. The memory bloom still hovered in the air, pulsing gently with shared visions. Some soldiers stared in awe, others looked away, uncomfortable. Talon stepped forward. You saw what it holds. This isn't just vegetation, it's history, it's healing. One scout lowered his torch. It's unnatural. Lyra's voice was calm. So is forgetting. The wind shifted, carrying the scent of jasmine and ash. The bloom was quiet now, waiting, listening. A woman stepped forward from the settlement ranks, older, stern, her eyes sharp. I'm Commander Rhea. I speak for the council. Talon stiffened. She's the one who sent me. Rhea looked at Lyra. You claim this bloom is sentient, that it remembers, but memory is dangerous, it can be twisted. Lyra met her gaze. Only if we refuse to feel it. Rhea turned to Talon. You were sent to scout, not to sympathize. Talon stepped beside Lyra. I didn't choose sympathy, I chose truth. Rhea's eyes narrowed. Then prove it. She held out a device, a neural recorder. Let the bloom speak through you. Let it show us what it really is. Lyra looked at Talon. It's risky. The bloom will open everything, even what you've buried. Talon took the device, then let it bloom. He placed it against his temple. The petals around him pulsed. The forest shimmered. And the bloom began to speak. Visions flooded the air, Talon's childhood, his mother's disappearance, the seed she gave him. Lyra's memories followed, her mother's sacrifice, her loneliness, her bond with the forest. The scouts watched in silence. Rhea stepped back, her face unreadable. Then she spoke. We'll return to the council, but know this, if the bloom turns, we will burn it. Lyra nodded. Then let it show you who it truly is. The scouts retreated. The forest exhaled. Talon turned to Lyra. That was everything. She touched his hand, and it's only the beginning. The message came at dawn. A drone hovered above the grove, its wings humming like an insect. It dropped a capsule wrapped in synthetic vine. Talon opened it, revealing a single line. The bloom will be observed. No further spread permitted. Lyra read it twice. They're stalling. Talon nodded. They're afraid. They don't know how to control it. Lyra touched the earth. The petals around her pulsed, then dimmed. The bloom was listening, and it was disappointed. They choose silence. We choose song. Talon paced. If they see another expansion, they'll send fire. Lyra looked at him. Then we don't expand, we deepen. They spent the day tending the grove, coaxing memory blooms to open gently, guiding the forest's energy inward. The bloom responded, folding its petals, quieting its light. It was learning restraint. But the tension remained. That night, Lyra sat beside the heartroot, her fingers tracing the bark. Talon joined her, silent. They don't understand, she said. They think memory is dangerous. Talon nodded. Because it is, but forgetting is worse. Lyra turned to him. Do you regret coming here? He looked at her. I regret not coming sooner. She smiled faintly. You've changed. So have you. They sat in silence, the forest pulsing gently around them. The bloom was quiet now, holding its breath. Lyra leaned against Talon. If they burn it, I'll stay. Talon took her hand. Then I'll stay too. The petals shimmered. And somewhere deep in the bloom, a new memory began to grow. The heartroot pulsed with golden light. Lyra and Talon stood before it, the petals around them trembling with anticipation. The bloom had opened its deepest layer, revealing a chamber of pure memory. Light, scent, emotion woven into living code. You have healed the wound, the bloom whispered. Now we offer the seed. A blossom unfolded between them, revealing two glowing seeds, one violet, one amber. Lyra reached out, her fingers hovering above the violet one. What happens if we take them? Talon asked. Lyra's voice was quiet. We become part of the bloom, not just caretakers, voices, vessels. Talon stared at the amber seed. Will we still be us? Lyra met his gaze. Mostly, but some of us will bloom. The chamber shimmered. Visions danced around them, children learning from petals, cities rebuilt with living walls, humans and flora coexisting in harmony. But there were darker echoes, too, memories of fire, fear, and silence. Talon stepped back. If we do this, we lose something. Lyra nodded, but we gain something too. He looked at her. Are you ready? She touched the violet seed. I was born ready. Talon hesitated, then reached for the amber one. The seeds pulsed. The chamber exploded in light. Lyra felt herself stretch, her thoughts entwining with root and leaf, her emotions blooming across the forest. She could feel every tree, every petal, every whisper. Talon gasped. I can hear it, all of it. You are the bridge, the bloom said. You are the bloom. Outside, the forest shimmered. The petals opened. The grove pulsed with new life. And the world began to change. Lyra opened her eyes and saw everything. Not just the grove, but the pulse beneath it. The roots stretching for miles, the petals trembling with wind, the memories blooming in silence. She could feel the heartbeat of the forest, slow and steady, like a drum beneath the earth. Talon stood beside her, his gaze distant. I can hear them, he said. The trees, the moss, even the stones. Lyra nodded. We're part of it now. Their merge had not erased them, it had expanded them. They were still Lyra and Talon, but also something more. A bridge, a voice, a bloom. The forest responded to their thoughts. When Lyra remembered her mother's lullaby, the petals sang. When Talon recalled his childhood fear of fire, the vines curled protectively around him. But the peace was fragile. A new message arrived from the settlement, this time delivered by a scout on foot. He stood at the edge of the grove, wary, respectful. The council has decided, he said. The bloom will be tested. If it can prove its value, it will be spared. If not. Lyra stepped forward. What kind of test? The scout hesitated. A child, one of ours, she's sick, no cure, if the bloom can heal her. Talon's voice was firm. Bring her. The scout nodded and vanished into the trees. Lyra turned to Talon. Healing isn't just medicine, it's memory, emotion, connection. Talon looked at her. Then let's show them what it means to bloom. The forest shimmered. And somewhere deep in the heartroot, a new petal began to open. The child arrived at dusk. She was small, no older than 7, wrapped in a blanket of woven fiber. Her eyes were tired, her breath shallow. The scout who carried her said nothing, just placed her gently on a bed of moss and stepped back. Lyra knelt beside her. What's her name? The scout hesitated. Myra. Talon crouched on the other side. She's afraid. Lyra touched the earth. The bloom responded, petals unfolding in a slow spiral around the child. A soft hum filled the air, not sound but vibration. Memory, intention. She carries sorrow. Let us hold it. Lyra placed her hand on Myra's chest. The bloom pulsed. A vision bloomed in the air, Myra's earliest memory. Her mother singing, her father laughing, a garden of sunflowers. Then the sickness, the silence, the fear. Talon closed his eyes. She's fatting. Lyra whispered to the bloom. Don't just heal her body, heal her story. The petals shimmered. A golden blossom opened beside Myra, releasing a scent like honey and rain. Myra stirred. Her eyes fluttered open. She looked at Lyra. Are you a flower? Lyra smiled. No, but I listened to them. Myra reached out and touched the blossom. It pulsed gently, then folded into her palm. Her breathing steadied. Her eyes cleared. The scout stepped forward, stunned. She's better. Talon nodded. She's blooming. The bloom pulsed once, soft, steady, alive. One healed, many to come. Lyra looked at Talon. This is the proof they needed. Talon met her gaze. Now we wait for their choice. The forest held its breath. And somewhere deep in the heartroot, a new song began to grow. The message came at midday. A single scout returned, carrying no weapons, no drones, only a scroll sealed with the council's crest. Talon took it with steady hands, unrolled it, and read aloud. The bloom shall remain. Its caretakers shall guide its growth. Expansion beyond the grove requires consent. Lyra exhaled. The petals around her shimmered with relief. They chose peace, she whispered. Talon nodded. For now. The scout stepped forward. They want a liaison, someone who can speak for the bloom, someone they trust. Lyra looked at Talon. That's you. Talon hesitated. I'm not sure I'm ready. Lyra smiled. You already are. The bloom pulsed gently, wrapping vines around Talon's wrist, not binding but welcoming. A soft glow spread across his skin, and the forest hummed. You are the echo. You are the bridge. That night, the grove bloomed in celebration. Petals opened in waves, releasing scents of memory and joy. Children from the settlement arrived, wide-eyed, touching blossoms that whispered stories of healing and hope. Lyra stood beneath the heartroot, watching the forest dance. Talon joined her. We did it. She turned to him. No, we began it. The petals shimmered. And somewhere deep in the bloom, a new root began to grow, one born not of fear but of trust. The grove was quiet but not still. Petals opened slowly, revealing new colors, shades Lyra had never seen before. The bloom was changing, adapting to the emotions it had absorbed. It no longer whispered. It conversed. Talon stood beside a group of children from the settlement, guiding them through the memory grove. Touch gently, he said. Let it show you something you've forgotten. One child reached out. A blossom bloomed, revealing a memory of her father, laughing, dancing, alive. She gasped. I thought I lost this. Talon smiled. The bloom never loses, it just waits. Lyra watched from the heartroot, her thoughts entwined with the forest. The bloom was asking questions now, curious, reflective. It wanted to understand not just what humans felt, but why. Why do they fear what they love? Why do they forget what matters? Lyra answered with stories. Her mother's sacrifice, Talon's courage, Myra's healing. Each tale became a seed, planted in the bloom's consciousness. The forest began to change. Vines shaped themselves into learning spaces. Blossoms opened with lessons in empathy. The grove became a sanctuary, not just for memory, but for growth. Talon joined Lyra beneath the heartroot. It's becoming something new. Lyra nodded. A teacher. He looked at her, and we're its students. The bloom pulsed gently. You are the echo. You are the bloom. Teach us to feel. Lyra leaned into Talon. Then let's begin. The grove was quiet, bathed in morning light. Lyra stood beneath the heartroot, her hands resting on the bark. The bloom pulsed gently, not with urgency, but with anticipation. Something was coming, something new. Talon approached, his eyes bright. They've arrived. From the settlement came a procession, not of soldiers, but of families. At the center was Myra, now healthy and smiling, holding the hand of a woman with petals braided into her hair. She's the midwife, Talon said. The child is being born. Lyra felt the forest stir. Vines curled protectively. Blossoms opened in silence. The bloom was watching. Moments later, the woman emerged, cradling a newborn wrapped in moss and silk. The baby's eyes were closed, her breath soft. But her hair shimmered with color, auburn streaked with gold. And nestled among the strands were tiny petals, glowing faintly. Lyra stepped forward. She's part of the bloom. The midwife nodded. She was born in the grove. She carries its memory. Talon knelt beside the child. What's her name? The mother smiled. We call her Saul. Lyra touched the baby's hand. The bloom pulsed. She is the seed. She is the song. She is the future. The forest shimmered. The petals danced. And the grove bloomed brighter than ever before. Lyra turned to Talon. We've planted something that will outlive us. He took her hand, and it's already growing. The bloom pulsed once, soft, steady, alive. And somewhere deep in the heartroot, a new story began to bloom. Epilogue. Years passed. The grove grew not outward but inward. Its roots deepened, its petals thickened with memory. The bloom no longer whispered, it sang. Children played among the vines, their laughter weaving with the hum of the forest. Some were born with petals in their hair. Others learned to speak in scent and vibration. All were taught to listen. Lyra and Talon became legends, not for what they built, but for what they chose not to destroy. They lived quietly, tending the heartroot, guiding the bloom's evolution. They were no longer its voice. They were its echo. And Saul, the child born beneath the petals, grew into something new. She walked barefoot through the grove, her fingers trailing light. When she spoke, the forest answered. When she dreamed, the bloom bloomed. One morning, she stood beneath the heartroot and whispered, "I remember everything, even what hasn't happened yet." The petals opened, and the world began again. The end. Thanks for following along with us. If the Neuroverse stirred your soul, bent your brain, or made you whisper wow at least once, then do the universe a favor. Glowing star like this video, because our heroes deserve it. Speech balloon comment below, tell me your favorite moment, theory, or what you'd do if a signal started talking to you. Bell subscribe for more sci-fi stories, cosmic mysteries, and emotional roller coasters. And hey, if you don't, the signal might start whispering your name next eyes. Stay curious, stay kind, and keep echoing forward rocket.